I was here a few weeks ago, and at the World Government Summit, and they asked me if Warren Buffett said something about crypto not being a good investment and this and that, and I said that, well, what does he know? He only knows old things, like he rents furniture to poor people and invests in McDonald's and Coca-Cola. So he doesn't really understand what we're doing. We're going from the Flintstones to the Jetsons. I don't know if people are old enough to know what that is. These are some cartoons that speak to me when I was growing up, and that's why, I don't know, the guys throw it into the slideshow. Our business is a permissionless type business. An innovation usually comes without permission. It comes from someone who wants to and believes to, they want to build something, and they end up building something that is better than what's out there. And usually the old guard has the square wheels, and we're trying to convince them, like the banking industry or the financial industry, we're trying to convince them to use the round wheels, but they're a little too smart for that. So they stay, before the before the Industrial Revolution, everyone was on a donkey, and they didn't really realize that the train was coming. And then when the train showed up over the horizon, they said, hey, look at it, that's a blasted infernal machine. We can't get on that. We can't get on that train. It's so loud, it's making the whole world a noisy, which it probably did. But some people did embrace the new technology. Some people, stayed on the donkey. And some people, the Vanderbilts, right? We got the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, embraced the technology, the new technology of the day, which was a steam engine. And they created an incredible future for their family and the world. And they built this Industrial Revolution occurred and rebuilt the whole surface of the planet. And there were other people. The Wright brothers had a bicycle shop, and they were fixing bicycles and building bicycles and selling bicycles. And I think if you were walking by the bicycle shop back then, you'd say, hey, we need the wing bigger, or we need the motor faster, stronger to take us, fly us higher. People might have thought they were crazy, and that's what people think about us today. They think that, hey, most people from the legacy financial system and the other systems that we're imposing ourselves upon are thinking that, maybe there's a lot of hype or something like that. But with persistence, the airplane showed up. And it was, of course, innovation without permission. If I think the Wright brothers went and asked the mayor, the local mayor, if they can fly an airplane or build an airplane, I don't think that the mayor would give them permission. And I'd probably have to swim across the Atlantic to get over here. That was my first computer back in 1978. Threw that in there. That's not my first modem, but mine looked even worse. Modulator, demodulator. We were in charge of a lot of political data. I'm telling you all this because I want you to know we've been around a long time. I'm always early. Sometimes, me and my team are always early in the innovation. Sometimes too early. I think we get it on time. Oh, back in the early 90s, I bought 12,000 domain names, and my family thought there was something wrong. They didn't even know what the internet was. And they wanted to seek help for me. So I bought 12,000 domain names. I think I just got offered $800,000 for one of them a few moments ago. Oh, I built No More Hotels, Get a Room, which was an early Airbnb in the mid-90s with my team. As a matter of fact, I have most of my team still. I built, we sold that. We built a livery cab, which is like an early Uber, but nobody really had a smartphone, so we were a little too early. Oh, we got involved with the Ron Paul campaign, where we learned a lot about competing currencies. That's why you see that a lot of the early Bitcoiners were people who were very interested in competing currencies and libertarian-minded. And here's a quote that really got me. We have been overtaxed, overregulated, overrun by bureaucrats. The founding fathers would be ashamed of us for what we're putting up with. It's a little revolutionary, but you know, I was younger. That's me. Permissionless. So, after a while being involved in Bitcoin, the news didn't really understand blockchain, Bitcoin, or anything. And they would only write what they understood, which were very bad stories, because that's all they understood. It wasn't a conspiracy. Back then, it wasn't a conspiracy. And so 100 feet from the New York Stock Exchange on the ground floor, we opened up, without permission, the Bitcoin Center. That was the first live Bitcoin exchange. It was quite impressive, I think. We had hundreds of people a day came in and traded Bitcoin person to person. All the regulators came in and said, "Hey, what are you doing in here?" So we were early then also. I had 3 lawyers answering questions. So then they had to make the bit license against us. And that's another story. You can watch that story on Netflix called Banking on Bitcoin. We had self-executing wills. That's one company. We build Bitcoin ATM machines. We build blockchain voting machine, actual machines, with a paper ballot to 3 blockchains. What else we got here? Oh, so everyone's talking about this bubble, and I wanted to address it, but Bitcoin goes back up, right? So Bitcoin looks like it takes these big spurts once a year or so for a couple weeks, and then it drifts down, and it goes back up, and it goes back up much faster and a higher rate, and more volume. More people get involved because more people get to involve themselves in the technology once they learn the technology. So I say, no, is Bitcoin a bubble? I should read that. And I said, no. I said, Bitcoin's the pin that's going to pop, or that's popping the legacy financial system's bubble. The reality is that, there was a big crash when it was $30. I think it went down to 50 cents or something. There was a crash when it was $1,148 and it dropped down to $178 one time. There's so many, crashes, quote unquote, crashes or popping of the bubble, that it just comes back better because there are only, 21 million Bitcoin by the year 2140. And the more people who embrace it or learn about the technology, then they can't not be involved. They have to be involved even more. Once they learn what it is and how transformative it is in technology, they get even more involved in it and throw the rest of their life away and dive into this like everyone else in the audience, probably. I think. I don't know. These are all the... I think we got that from a Bitcoin obituaries or something. So we got a whole list, right? Got a whole list of all these people telling us that it's over. Oh yeah, there's the pin. So, we're always early, and I just say that because for some reason I'm always so early. That's one of the reasons why I built the Bitcoin Center, was to, back in 2013, on the ground floor, Wall Street, it was ridiculous. And the reason why I built this is because I wanted to bring people on board, and we brought hundreds of reporters in and politicians and taught them lawyers and had free courses for them just to get, everyone involved, stockbrokers, anyone you could think of. We brought them in, even the regulators, So we're in this, so my new project, I mean, it's not new, but it's been a little while, is zap.org. And I believe that real-world data from the outside world, is going to trigger, or triggers, so that's what it's going to trigger, it's already triggering through the things we've built, but in the very near future, is going to trigger many and most of the financial events of your worldly interaction, three-dimensional worldly interaction in the three-dimensional world, is going to trigger financial events on the blockchain. And we dove head into this, and we have many different scenarios where we're building a soil sensor, and let's say we have a few thousand soil sensors out there. Then in the coffee growing area, which is one of the projects that we've spearheaded, and when that data, if someone is on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and they want to trade coffee futures, they're going to want that data because it's coming out live. So if you're one of the people, a publisher of that data, and they're a subscriber, they can pay for that data using our native token AirZap. They can pay for that data, or they can even make a deal that, if it's a trade that makes money, the smart contract will send to each of the sensor, data providers, a piece of whatever was made. So we have that going for us. And I believe every worldly interaction that everyone's going to have is going to be launched by a smart contract. For instance, if you had a supermarket, you could have like a percentage lease where when someone walks through the wireless RFID checkout, everyone's going to get paid because it'll be like a consignment, and everyone could get paid. Like the truck driver, if you sold a tomato, the tomato grower could get paid at that moment, the truck driver could get paid at that moment, the landlord could get his percentage of the sale if he has a percentage lease. A percentage lease is where a landlord would get paid on what you make, or what the store would make. So everyone would get paid from that one with microtransactions that would come through, and these are examples of the three-dimensional world data triggering financial events on a smart contract. We have a project for oil and natural gas. I don't know if you saw, there's a bunch of news out on it. We've been on it for about a year, where we have these sensors on piping and different places within the supply line, and the actual point of where it comes from. Well, and we generate tokens as they, the natural resources gets harvested, and then it moves around. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be redeemable in that token, but it's good for accounting to do that. But you can also make it a redeemable token and use it to make sure at the last mile that if you pulled out 100 million barrels or something, you're going to get 100 million tokens worth of 100 million barrels worth of tokens at the end. Oh yeah, there it is. That's a slice. And many other ways. We have, there's hundreds of things that we do with using real-world data to trigger financial events on the blockchain. And I believe that's the future. I'm always early. I don't know what else to say. Oh, wow, what's that? Uh-oh. That's me with the afro. I don't know why those guys My guys threw that picture in there. Sorry. That's me in Venezuela. Whatever. There it goes. That's us.